You're road tripping to America's best music venues with Cara Lamont. On this episode, we're in Ellsworth, the capital of Downeast, Maine, and the start of our salty venue venture through Lamont's hometown stomping grounds. ConcertCast the podcast is an audio atlas filled with music maps, conversations, and discoveries to help you navigate America's soundscape and tune into every state's live music scene. Concert culture is travel-centric, and every venue has a voice. So let us go and listen. This episode is powered by Flexit Cafe, located on Main Street in downtown Ellsworth. Flexit is more than great food and drinks. It's Ellsworth's living room. FlexitCafe.com for more.
Music regenerates memories, and I believe that driving on hometown roads has the same effect.
There's a great associative, symbolic sense to music and sound in general. And memory is connected to our emotive states. Therefore, certain music will trigger certain feelings or certain associations.
That's Alan Wittenberg. He's a music therapist from Surrey, Maine, who helps me understand why listening to music while driving can make you feel so nostalgic.
It allows one to be more with themselves and find out new things about themselves. The fact that it can grab you by surprise is really hard to figure out intellectually.
And sometimes when certain music is playing, it's as if time is suspended and I can mindfully move around these moments and continue my search for solace.
Music is a great cathartic agent. It's also a great exploratory agent. It helps us find a more complete or a deeper sense of what that time was.
I'm from a coastal town called Sullivan. It's 25 minutes from Ellsworth, which is our region's urban center. So simply running errands into town stirs up sights from my past. For instance, there's a mom-and-pop general store down the street that's been around for years, and when I drive by it, I'll see a phantom of myself as a young girl, pumping gas for my grandma as she sat in her wood-paneled station wagon, puffing on Marb Reds and tuning the AM radio dial.
So the music, once again, is that bridge. In this case, it's sort of a time bridge. It's a being bridge. If you're stuck in conflicts you had in that time, the music can help you reconnect with it and retouch it and re-explore it.
Now that I'm back home, some places still look familiar, but I'm also finding new spaces, hearing new sounds, and making new memories. I'm Cara Lamont, and you're not about to meet my family, but rather drive around hometown roads with me to meet up with friends and colleagues, lobstermen and artists, musicians and music venue owners who are all part of making Downeast, Maine more than just a beautiful place to visit, but a destination for live music.
And we'll find no peace until we reach the lucky coast of freedom on down.
You're listening to Bold Coast Bandits by Machias, Maine songsters Fremont String Band. Their album, Dirigo, named after our state's motto and means I direct, is more like a colorful songbook, rich with oral descriptions of our region known as Downeast, which is an old maritime term used by sailors traveling up Maine's eastern seaboard between Boston and Canada. Southwest winds propelled vessels forward, which meant you had to go downwind to get north. Ironic, right? Well, today, that same mentality can be said about touring bands driving up Maine's rocky coastline in search of a place to play. And Ellsworth has gone from a no-name town to a notable stop. The band is headlining at Fogtown Brewing in Ellsworth, a new music venue and community art space.
You know what they're doing? They've got all the sound set up. They got the lights, they got the sound, they got the beer. They've got a really great space.
That's Michael. He's one of the guitarists in the band who we'll be hanging out with later.
And we'll find no peace until we reach the rocky coast of freedom on down east. And we'll find no peace until we reach the rocky coast of freedom on down east.
Depending on stops you make along the way, it's about an hour drive from Belfast to Ellsworth. On this stretch of Route 1, roadside attractions are just a little bit more extra, so it's completely normal to point at and read out loud every single sign you see for a local business, boatyard, or restaurant. Crossing the Union River onto Main Street in Ellsworth, you immediately notice how quaint this town is. Red brick and Victorian-style houses, the spire at City Hall visible on a hilltop. Take away the cars and you can almost picture how this town looked 100 years ago.
We have a really special relationship with this Main Street, and that it needs to be and remain protected. It's really important that we don't demolish any of these buildings and that we're historically protecting the architecture that's here.
That's Cara Romano. She's the executive director of Heart of Ellsworth, and also a bona fide jewelry designer and small business owner who will be chatting with more. Ellsworth has always been a place on the way to somewhere else. It's only a 30-minute drive to Mount Desert Island. In the summer, you can spot travelers stopping for gas and groceries on their way to Acadia National Park, or to make a pit stop before heading to Canada. But as of late, the city has turned a major cultural corner and is no longer a town to drive through, but now a hub for art and adventure in Hancock County.
Downeast, Maine can be very isolating. It can be, houses can be very few and far between. And Ellsworth is sort of that hub. And I feel that as we work to grow more and more as a community and more businesses start coming in and we start to increase the amount of activity here in downtown, that this space is going to grow in population. And I do believe that in 5 years' time that this downtown is going to look very full.
When you arrive in Ellsworth, take a right onto Water Street and head to the riverfront where you can park and explore. Walk to Rooster Brothers for a fresh cup of coffee, and then wander around to scope out all the cute stores. Make sure to check out the library and City Hall. Both buildings boast beautiful New England architecture with great views of the river and town. You'll walk by the Grand, a historic theater built in 1938 with beautiful Art Deco architecture and an eye-catching marquee. It's home to local theater productions, movies, and occasional concerts. Across the street is a building known as JB Atlantic. The brick facade with enormous bay windows is a neck-turner. Built in 1939, it was once a five-and-dime store. It's been unoccupied since 2016, but far from vacant. Today, it's being reclaimed as an event space and used more and more for live music.
Well, I grew up here in Ellsworth. And my mom would take me down here when it was J.J. Newberry's. It was like a old school department store kind of thing, and there was a soda fountain area on one side. We'd come down here, and I was just a little guy, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. She'd bring my brother and I down here. We'd eat root beer floats and have ice cream and stuff in here while she did shopping. It was pretty cool.
So did you ever think that you'd be rocking out in here?
Never thought it in a million years. No, it's a whole different game, but it's kind of cool. Very happy to be doing it.
We just heard from Brian Spencer, owner of Wallace Events and the bassist in the band called Whoopy Kat. We'll be chatting with him as well to hear how he worked with the Heart of Ellsworth to transform the building into a music venue for the night. Keep it here. We'll be right back. It's a cold winter day in January when I pull up to the JB Atlantic building. Remnants of the holidays linger in the front windows, but more prominent now is a sign for a rock and roll concert featuring a band called Whoopy Kat. I see Romano inside, and she's telling me to go around the back. When I walk in, it's hard not to feel wowed by the space, mainly because it's a blank canvas full of possibility. There's original wood floor, gorgeous ceilings, and memories abound. When I was a kid, this was a furniture and art store, and while my parents shopped, my sister and I would play hide and seek. So let's talk about Heart of Ellsworth.
Our organization is somewhat in charge of working with the city, working with the Chamber of Commerce, and other nonprofit entities in Downeast, Maine to bolster downtown Ellsworth and to have this area be a vibrant year-round community.
Romano grew up in a tiny town called Goldsboro, which is about 45 minutes from Ellsworth. She's lived and worked in Brooklyn and Philadelphia as a jewelry artist.
My work is influenced by the quiet of here and the geometric influence that does happen in nature, because there is a lot of that.
But came back home to support other artisans by opening a boutique store called Coat.
And it's a really, really great nurturing place for artists to set up their studios and to work.
She thoughtfully selects really cool crafts, home goods, jewelry, and more. And her passion for the arts is what inspires her vision for the heart of Ellsworth, which is to bring the community together through culture. And utilizing the JB Atlantic building for events like Taste of Ellsworth, a local foodie experience, Art of Ellsworth, an extension of the Maine Craft Weekend, and a cider and cheese festival, she's able to do just that. The building also caught the attention of Brian Spencer.
It's wintertime, it's January, there's nothing to do in Ellsworth, and this beautiful space is here, so let's start selling some tickets, and let's try to sell this thing out and try to take care of some great causes and give everyone a fun time. So it's taken us about a week to transform it, but it's all happened, and the thing's sold out, and it's a really cool night.
And when it comes to repurposing a space, he has a unique perspective.
I see everything from a topical view: tables, dance floors, drape, bars, whatever's going to hardware would drop into that room to make it function for whatever kind of event, and my head does that everywhere I go. So I'm already seeing it. By the time I get back to my office, I'm getting in a computer, I've already seen it.
When you walk into an old building, are you really mindful of a place having personality?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this place to me has a lot of personality, and I feel it's better than just a white boxed-in room. We have the brick walls. We can create whatever lighting you want to have, and you can basically make the room whatever you want. You got the old hardwood floors. I think it's very important to keep the personality of the building.
That's Brian's wife, business partner, and lead singer of Whoopy Kat, Sarah Spencer.
How would you describe Downeast, Maine's music scene?
Different, eclectic things that are really great and amazing, that are starting to really show their heads. The hard part is, so many great musicians are here, but there is nowhere to play. We need venues like this to give people a chance to play so they can get out and be seen.
I feel like we've had a whole bunch of new younger people that have moved to town, especially with the Jackson Lab opening up and changing, and we need to do something to keep them here and not have them go to Bangor or go to Bar Harbor every time just to find something to do.
It would be so great if every single weekend you could come to Ellsworth and know you'd see music somewhere. And you still can't every week. But we're working on it. Yeah. We're working on it.
And the perks of owning an event company means that you're fully loaded with bells and whistles. The room was completely overhauled into what felt like a rock club. There was a raised stage, walls of Marshall amps, a lighting truss, lasers, haze, insane. They even had an LED drum kit.
I'm obsessed with that drum kit. I mean, if you're going to have a drum kit, you might as well have some lights in it.
I know, you might. Hey, you got to have a lighted drum kit. Absolutely.
One thing that is a constant and will probably always be this way is that Ellsworth is the county seat. So you have people from all walks of life. We sort of know no boundaries when it comes to genre. We really want folks to come in, and we want folks to be able to be who they are and to just play live great music.
Up next, we head to Fogtown Brewing Company, Ellsworth's newest music venue.
Carol Leonard's brave and beautiful memoir is now a podcast. From Good to Go Studios, Bad Beaver Tales. Stories on love and life in Downeast, Maine. Subscribe to Bad Beaver Tales, the podcast, on iTunes and Spotify.
In addition to a lot of young scientists moving here to work at the Jackson Lab, there's a digital take on the Back to Land movement, or Homesteading 2.0, happening as well, where nature-conscious hipsters who thrive on solitude and who install Wi-Fi shortly after digging a new well are sprouting up too. In his study for the MIT Tech Review titled The Hipster Effect, Jonathan Tubal found that efforts to reject the mainstream merely result in a new conformity, a counterintuitive phenomenon in which people who oppose mainstream culture all end up looking the same. So when news broke that a microbrewery was opening up downtown, I was excited to know that I could go to Ellsworth for conversation and live music, not just for groceries. And even though I don't drink anymore, I can rely on knowing that a brewery, for the most part, is where you can go to conform with other non-conforming conformists.
You look around and you don't realize that maybe there have been 50-plus-year-olds in the tasting room like all week, and then you have a music event, and you look around, and there, people coming down from other towns, 30, 40, 50 minutes away, down from Cherryfield, Downeast, Maine, wherever, and you're like, wow, there's a bunch of 30-year-olds here dancing to this music, and it's really cool. And the older people who are our regulars and who are sitting at the bar also think it's great. And they'll tell us, they'll say, you've done a great thing here by making this space, and we didn't know there were so many young people in this area. Where did they all come from? I don't know. Some of them look like they've come out of the woods, but they come here because they want that connection.
That's John Stein. He's the co-owner, sound engineer, and brewmaster of Fogtown, Ellsworth's newest brewery and music venue. And in this saturated state of craft beer, their narrative, strong mission statement, and commitment to using local ingredients is what makes them stand out.
The Downeast Salmon Federation came in here the other day because we did a fundraiser from the last year and brought in a bag of smoked smelt. It's like, we just caught these, I smoked them, here, make these into a beer. And I was like, yeah, that's a crazy idea, and I'm going to try it for smoked fish stout. And I don't know, it's just like kind of what we live for. It's like, will it be fun? Is it good? Does it fit with our mission? Is it like ethical and help the community? And hopefully it's also like cool and weird and people get into it in some way.
Would you say just, to call a spade, you saw a need for an awesome live music venue or space or brewery in Ellsworth, and you just came in and filled it?
Spade. Yeah, spade.
That's Ian Heisey. He's the co-owner, a community activist, a local school teacher, and also the talent buyer for the venue.
It's a lot of things. It's a community space, for one. And so we knew that Ellsworth lacked a good place to see live music. There's also no brewery, so that helped. We make everything here in the same venue that we have the live music, which we should talk about that. Remind me to ask that question, because I think that the music affects the beer, but we'll get into that later.
Music affects the beer?
Well, what were we just talking about? I feel like we were on a good train of like...
This is a cool train. How have you noticed that the music has affected the beer?
I mean, it's nothing scientific. It's just an intuition thing. But I think that if we're continuously playing good music to the yeast, they're going to be more efficient, or the actual structure and the taste of the beer is going to be different.
Now, for a lesson on Fogtown history.
This building it's been a lot of things. Shipping and receiving building from the river to the railway, and I believe they moved a lot of lumber and other building supplies out of it, because Ellsworth, we're talking, so early 1900s and 1920s, was still very much a logging and industrial town. A lot of lumber came out of Ellsworth. There was a printing press called Borealis Press that made greeting cards. They used to build the sets from the Grand Theater and then they just walk them or truck them down the street.
Previous owners have come by. One in particular, Matt Strong, who used to own this building when there was like a telephone parts manufacturing something going on in here. He's come in, sat at the bar, looked up at the ceiling, and just said, huh. And I was like, what are you talking about? What are you looking at? He said, well, see those the patches of new spruce and pine that have patched up the old 100-year-old hemlock? I put that in because a truck came in the loading dock and busted through the floor on the floor above us, and the tires were hanging down through the ceiling, and they had to winch it out somehow and then put in new wood to patch the holes up. So, but he was fascinated. He remembered the whole project, and I showed him the brewery, and he, gave me some really good tips for improving some of our electrical work. He's kind of like an all-around electrical genius, so that was great.
Once John and Ian connected with the owners of the building, it was game on to redesign and remodel the place.
When I saw this space, did I know it was the perfect spot for Fogtown? Did I just know? I was like, no, it was a basement. It was filled with crap. Shit. Can I say shit? We're not on the radio, right? Cool, that's fine.
Finding contractors that could work with us, because this is, especially in this area, this is stuff that people don't do. So asking a plumber to wire up, a large dairy tank repurposed through a Renai so that it recirculates and heats up overnight, and then put like 7 valves on it so I can send that water to 7 different tanks if I want to. We went through 3 or 4 plumbers in this space before we found one that was like, yeah, I've never done that before, and if you'd asked me to just do normal plumbing, I would probably say no, but this is exciting, so I want to take the job. So finding people who wanted to try to create new systems and get creative with their skills for the stuff that we couldn't do.
Everything about this operation has been communal.
Immediately when you come in here, it has that Maine feel, which is like, people's dooryards. We like collect things and use them and fix it ourselves. And then the collaboration between all of these different people who might give us ingredients, that's a very Maine thing for me as well. People coming up to the bar, having a couple beers, have a conversation with me or Ian, and before you know it, we're talking about like the seaweed history of Maine and how people used to use it. And, oh, by the way, like we work at Maine Coast Sea Vegetables, and here's 2 pounds of dried kelp. Can you brew with this? And then us saying, yeah, why not? You're here, we're here, let's do it. That's a very Maine thing.
And a special shout out to Sarah Baldiga, a local graphic designer who has given this place a wicked cool logo. The room is quite minimal. There are succulents in every corner, a red octopus painted on one wall, 2 large handmade tables, a chalkboard with a beer menu, a rug laid out in front of the garage doors, and there's a drum kit on top of a big closet. But it's not where the drummer plays.
Do bands come in here and think that they're playing on top of that riser or that loft space?
No band has ever asked, is that where the drummer plays? The bands get here and they know that they're playing like right down there, but customers always ask. I think some of them to be cheeky, but then some of them are really concerned that the drummer might play up there.
And one of these days we're going to get someone up there just to...
Definitely, we'll get somebody up there.
And make a night of it.
We are living in a desperate nation.
You're listening to Beach Trash, a punk band from Jonesport, a town that's practically halfway up the coast to Canada from here. It's fronted by a lobsterman turned drag queen, and we're heading to their live show at Fogtown next.
Power is weak. We don't find what we see.
Despite it being a brutally cold January night, people have come out to celebrate Fogtown turning 1 year old. Locals are dancing on picnic tables and hanging out around heat lamps and fire pits, while Beach Trash performs through fogged-up garage door windows. The 49-person capacity venue is maxed out, so Ian is taking names at the door and adding them to a waiting list. But that isn't stopping people like Corey Chandler, a local photographer who also owns a boutique marketing company, from enjoying the vibe outside.
Downtown Ellsworth, like it kind of feels like a real downtown with the food truck and the lights and like the little fire pits and the live music,
I mean, growing up here, we would not expect this.
Never.
We would have to go to Bangor or Portland.
Exactly, or the dirt roads, back roads.
Beach Trash is alluring, mainly because of Sandy River, who stands 6'5", and that includes his black beehive wig. He's wearing a polka dot bikini made out of bottle caps, an aquamarine blue skirt so tight I'm afraid if he sneezes it will rip, black fishnets, and strappy silver heels. The band's persona is a departure from regional roots music, and they sound like Joy Division meets The Doors, moody and poetic. At first you do feel like gawking, a spectator of sorts. Sure, you've seen drag queens on TV or in the city, but not one from rural Maine who looks like he's been rolling around in a foamy heap of knotted rope, Mountain Dew bottles, and discarded bait bags. He's crafted a persona that, like many artists in the region, mirrors our surroundings. Rugged and beautiful. But the talent of the band and strong lyricism brings you back to musicianship as a whole, and you shift from spectator to group camaraderie, cheering for progression in our rural region, to be traditionals with a twist. And before long, you're a groupie. The crowd is going nuts for this band, and when Sandy gets on top of the barnwood tables, which are nailed to the floor because of a fire code, definitely a drawback of the venue, but I digress, the crowd loses it. Cabin fever has found an outlet. After their rowdy set, I head outside to cool down and take in the scene. People are still waiting to get in, but it's less of a line and more of a lounge. I see Sandy smoking a cigarette on the outskirts and talking to a mutual friend.
What does it feel like after a performance like that?
I'm really sweaty, but I feel really good and tired. I need to take all this shit off.
Do you use baby wipes?
No, I use Dawn dishwashing detergent, literally. And moisturizer. You gotta moisturize.
Do you just feel it like I need to get up on this table, or is it like you're gonna get on the table, it's just a matter of when?
Yeah, it's that. I am that bitch, and I own it. When I get up on a table, I get up on a table.
Save your soul. I will save your soul. Save your soul. Save my soul. Save your soul. Save my soul. Save your soul.
He excuses himself to change clothes and take off his makeup, and I roam around the yard and get to talking to Aaron, the bassist of Beach Trash, who's standing near a heat lamp.
I love your bass.
Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot.
It's like a teardrop shape.
Yeah, I like the semi-hollow body, the violin shape. It's a lot of resonation in it. It really projects,
You're having so much fun.
That's what we try and do.
I'm wondering how the whole drag thing came up.
I think it's always been something that he's played with, but certainly this gives him the avenue to do that, the stage to do it on.
And everyone's so welcoming and fired up about it. No one's weird and
Even Downeast, yeah, surprisingly. The fact that he is also a lobster fisherman, with his father by trade, that just adds a whole new quirk to the whole thing, and it's cool. I think it's a great time.
In part 4 of our Downeast road trip, Aaron and I will continue our conversation about being a musician in Machias, a town where the headliners are from.
What do you think of the Fremont String Band? It's
I love them. Actually, it's Machias taking over Fogtown tonight. And actually, I currently live in the house where all these guys started playing. So I'm around those seasoned walls all the time. And, it's come full circle now. We've made it as far as Ellsworth.
Amy +1. Amy +1.
I love that.
I'm in.
We're in.
I squeeze inside and head towards the back of the venue. While switching out batteries, I hear gentle harmony coming from in between 2 steel barrels. It's the Fremont String Band warming up for their set. I get goosies because the vibe is so tender, yet charged with creative energy.
I'll drift away with the last morning star. Carry the notes of my song. Cling to your lover like frost on a window pane. Let the sun reach out, warm you wherever you are.
What if we ended on that tonight?
So do you guys do sound checks normally like this in a huddle in the back of a brewery?
The breweries help us, we help them. They send us to other breweries. It's a good relationship.
What do you guys think of Fogtown?
Love Fogtown.
It's quite a place. Yeah, they've been good partners to work with.
I think we've got a list of our top places to play, and I think fighting for the top place on our list is Fogtown and Lubeck Brewing Company. Both of them are wonderful to play at. Lots of great crowds, lots of local color. It's just a lot of fun. We really enjoy it.
Both of them feel like home.
The 4-piece band met while going to college at the University of Maine at Machias, a smaller town known for its grit and charm.
I grew up in southern Maine, but when I moved to Downeast, Maine, I was so enamored with the culture and the people and the lifestyle and the places.
That's Landon Guptill. He's the guitarist and songwriter.
It's the best place that I know of to fill up my creative tank, just because it's the realest place that I know.
I can sense their anticipation and notice their eyes darting around, looking for the go-ahead from Stein that it's their turn to play. 3 of the guys start making their way to the front of the house, but I stay back with Ryan French, the upright bassist. I want to see how he's going to maneuver this massive instrument.
What is this bad boy called?
It's a Engelhardt from Germany, and I got it when I was like 14 years old, and has managed to live that long. So,
has it molded into you?
Yeah, I would say so. It's hard playing I've played other basses over the years, and this is the one that feels like mine. The neck is broken off 3 times actually, and most people would have quit after the first break, and I just keep hammering it back together and gluing it.
Oh, this is going to be so fun watching you try and get through the crowd with this.
I just keep walking and wait for people to get out of my way. It usually works.
Okay, so we're walking behind him. He has this big upright bass, and the crowd is parting.
The band is a muck boot or LL Bean duck boot stomping good time, a legit crowd pleaser, and a perfect way to close out Fogtown's birthday bash.
One more time. If I never know more, see you again, I walk with me,
Since their inception, Ian and John have brought in some eclectic bands that are on the Americana folk, roots rock, and reggae side of the spectrum.
Almost off the bat that we wanted to focus on original music. It's not really about bringing people in and getting music that they want to dance to and making us money. It's about supporting the art.
At any venue, the role as a talent buyer or program director is a way to give identity to a place, where people can expect a certain type of experience based on patterns of previous events. According to David Byrne in his book, How Music Works, this is how a scene can develop, where people come to the venue just to hang out, even if you don't know who's playing. And I think this is what's happening at Fogtown, where people are driving out of their way for a night because they can expect a good time based on its reputation. And when you look at the bigger picture, between Heart of Ellsworth and Fogtown's intentional efforts, Ellsworth is shifting.
Maine in general is, I think, a really exciting place, and live music in Ellsworth, I'm hoping it's on its way.
We've always been focused on taking care of the musicians that come in and having them be sort of the main event of that night. They're not just background noise. They're an interesting piece of art to appreciate while you're here.
What do you love most about your job and role and position in the community?
I love a lot of things about it, but I think what I love most is that it's always different.
And that's what I like about Ellsworth. It's different. And because of that, outliers are stopping here, not just driving through. Walking into a music venue, whether it's a concert hall or an old department store or a brewery, has always been an emotional experience, one that brings out the best in me. And like being home, it's something that can't be described, just felt.
Oh yeah, it just grabs you by everything you got. I mean, when it happens, and you don't want to be anywhere else. And you feel more integrated. You feel more you. And you feel more connected. And I think we live for moments like that. I think from the time we're born to the time we die, we all want to be heard and understood. And music really is a gift. You know, in the end, it's just a gift in our life experience.
Other great places in town for live music include Chummies for open mic and rock and roll, Finn's for dinner and acoustic songs, and new to town, Tan Turtle. Grab dinner at Serendib for authentic Sri Lankan food, or Provender for a taste of what you might get in a big city. As for places to stay, stalwarts like Ramada and Hampton Inn are in town, and a handful of B&Bs and Airbnbs, but we see a great opportunity for a boutique hotel to open up downtown. Just saying. On Downeast Part 2, we head to Mount Desert Island and rock out on Rodick Street in Bar Harbor, aka Music Row.
Lompoc is the only place on this island where you're going to get some good, real rock and roll.
Type in concertcastthepodcast.com to build your own music-centric itinerary, and find us on Spotify to listen to our main music playlist. This has been a Good To Go Studios production, created by Kyle Lamont. Special thanks to Mark Tukashan, our resident mastermind. Robert O. Young Roos Lee for his songs Drainpipe Dreams and Young Love. Max Hauptmann, our story editor and engineer. Flexit Cafe, Heart of Ellsworth, Wallace Events, Fogtown Brewing Company, Beach Trash, Fremont String Band, and to Pepper Little, Abby Rock Jessamine, Corey Chandler, Amy Charlie, Emma Teamy, Keely Rose, Cara Romano, Jesse Kudo, and thank you for listening.